Good evening, Fiends. Are you ready? Let's get spooky. And welcome back to another episode of
Let's Get Spooky.
I'm Vamp.
I'm AJ.
You're always laughing at me. That's so funny.
Because she asked, okay, you asked me if I'm ready, and I go, yeah. And then
you say, yeah, I think so.
I think so. And then you start, and then I realize, wait, am I ready? And I think I have like a dumb look on my face, and then I'm like, great, this is a great way to start the show.
It's your signature start. There's nothing we can do about it.
Sorry.
So today's episode is cannibals, because you can't get enough cannibal stories.
Yeah.
There's plenty of cannibal stuff out there, shows, movies, and I feel like I've seen a lot of articles as of late, people saying like, what's wrong with us? Why are there so many things about cannibals? But this stuff has really been around forever. I mean, for literally thousands and thousands of years. And I think that we're so fascinated by it as a culture just because it's so taboo.
Yeah.
You know, it's so shocking.
Like, yeah.
It's like gore in horror is fine, but then they're like, oh, they're eating people? Oh my goodness.
That's where the line is drawn for a lot of people, which I understand. Like,
well, for me too. I draw the line at eating people. I feel like I'll try lots
I draw the line sooner than that.
You do. You
but
don't
that's
eat bugs.
really what I'm like, oh, yeah, I can't eat bugs.
People even are out of the
like
question.
When we were talking before, and it's like even looking at like raw chicken and stuff, I'm just like, ugh. And then also like even cooked chicken, like if it's the option where I don't have to get it on it, I'm just like,
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. So there's times where I'm like,
so it's not even the fact that you have to cook it; it's the fact that it's just chicken.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, even the texture of like cooked chicken, I'm kind of like,
but not Sperry Farm chicken dinner restaurant because it's fried. Is it different?
Even then, I have to
Really?
like push myself.
Huh. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to be cooking any chicken on this show anytime soon, so
No.
I think you're safe. But like I said, there's been shows about cannibals. I mean, there's the old school, Hannibal. There's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, your favorite.
Yeah. And then also when she was like, she suggested, oh, let's talk about cannibals. I'm like, this is entrapment. You're just making me try to talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre again on the show, which I feel like I do almost every single episode. So
the last couple episodes,
I'm here to talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I feel like I was just making it easier for you. But there's newer stuff. There's like Bones and All, a show that...
yeah. And that
Bones and All was really good.
Bones and All was really good. And it was like, I feel like the scenes of them eating, like they actually like show it in like it like...
in a real gross way.
Like the pulling of the tearing and the skin,
stretchiness.
The stretchiness. And I was just like, huh. That was like the first time where I was kind of like,
gross.
Normally like... horror movies like don't get me.
Yeah.
I think like the only ones that did were that one a little bit. I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of icky.
But,
and then the one where the lady has sex with the car.
Oh, I saw Titan.
That one got me. But there was only one scene. It's when she was shoving the hair poker thing up her, and I was just like, oh yeah. And I was just like, oh, I can feel that.
I feel like your description really deterred me from wanting to watch it, but I eventually will. Bones and All, I think for me it was so not what you expected. Like I knew what it was about going into it, but I feel like you're watching this story and you're so involved in these characters that when it came to the actual like eating of people, I kind of was just like, yep, sure, that's totally normal. That's just what they do. But the scenes were super gruesome in like a very, is it weird? It's like a very nice, calm way. Because it wasn't like aggressive. They weren't
wasn't
ripping
violent.
people's, like it wasn't gory and like body parts are getting flung around and everything. So it was like, soothing is not the right word, but like it was just calm.
It was pretty.
It was pretty.
Like
it was
the
a
whole
very
movie was
film.
very pretty. But yeah, like it's not like House of a Thousand Corpses, like, you know.
Yeah,
like,
where limbs are flying.
And it's like really gross and gory. This was like pretty gore.
It was like an artsy,
but it was still
artsy
icky.
gore.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a thing, but it is now. So a newer show, we always start off with movies and shows. I think I can stop saying that because if you watch or listen, you know that. But we just went to an event, a Blumhouse event for the new show, The Horror of Dolores Roach, which is based on a podcast. And I believe the podcast had 2 seasons and they made a show about it. And it is about cannibalism. So essentially this woman gets released from prison And she's been in prison for 16 years. So she's been in for a long time.
That's a while.
When she comes out, everything is different. The city she lives in is like gentrified. Everything's like a stark difference from what she remembers. So she's not only having to be like, okay, I came out of prison, I need to get my life together. Now I have to adapt to everything that's different. And essentially, to give you the Cliff Notes version, she starts a massage business because in prison she learned the skill of massage and she's really good at it. They called her magic hands. So it was like her thing. She found her calling. But then she starts realizing that her patients are just kind of shitty. And what better way to murder them when they're face down on the massage table and like can't see it coming?
Yeah.
So it's kind of genius.
Literally stabbing them in the back?
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of stabbing. She did a
okay.
lot of like neck breaking and she had her like choking. You know, it's like from behind.
Can you choke someone from behind?
Yeah. I mean, she did it. Do we need a demonstration?
I'm like trying, how do I...
So then her murdering just kind of gets out of hand, like it snowballs.
Yeah.
And what do you do when you have bodies and you don't want to get caught? You've just been in prison for almost 2 decades. You're like, I'm not going back. So she is living with an old friend who owns an empanada shop upstairs.
Oh, okay.
So
this is Sweeney Todd?
Yes. Basically, it's like the new age Sweeney Todd.
Okay.
So the people turn into meat pies, and it's really funny. It's super dark. The story is really fun. It's 8 episodes available on Prime. And I feel like I didn't really give too many spoilers because it's based on a podcast that it's been out there, but it's a very fun show.
So was the podcast like
it's older?
Story?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically it was the first season, I don't remember how many episodes it was, but I think the latest season was in 2019. So it's older.
Okay.
And then it got adapted into a show, and it's great. It's super fun. And they're short. I mean, I binged the whole thing yesterday. I was like, I'm just going to start it. And then 4.5 hours later, I was like,
that's
oops.
it. No more episodes to watch.
So I would highly recommend it. And I would say that's probably the newest cannibal thing. And she's not eating people, so... And it is cannibalism in the sense that people are eating people, but they don't know.
Oh, I feel like that almost makes it worse.
Ring down.
My ring fell. There's actually a place in LA. They don't serve people, but
People meat pies?
No, their food is vegetarian, but they don't advertise it as vegetarian. So like I think a lot of people eat there not knowing that it's like vegetarian, and they're thinking they're actually eating like meat and stuff. And I always wonder like what's the like, you know, is that right?
Well, I mean, I guess it's not bad if it doesn't hurt you in the sense of like they're not feeding you something.
Yeah, they're not obviously not feeding you something like bad or people or something like that. But also like, what if because like, you know, I know a lot of like meat substitutions is like, you know, mushrooms or like, you know, things like that. Like, what if I'm allergic to that other thing, but you're advertising it as like meat?
Oh, it's a burger, but you're like, oh no, it has all this stuff. I mean,
yeah,
I feel like that's definitely problematic, but until someone goes
until
into anaphylactic shock over the mushroom burger,
then it's fine. In their menu, are they saying you're ordering a steak, but it's made of something
But it's not a steak. It's like, I think it's like burgers and tacos and stuff.
Oh, so the meat would be like ground up, or you know, it wouldn't look like a
it doesn't
steak.
Look like it's not a steak. So I think it's like, yeah, but they don't I don't think they advertise it as like being vegetarian. But then it's like if you look deeper and if you know, then it is.
I think that a lot in their minds they probably think, oh, this is a good thing because it's in certain people's minds. Oh, if you're not eating meat, it's a substitute, but it's healthier. But you're right. If I'm allergic to it and I think it's a burger, but it's made of something that could kill me, it's I don't know. I guess as the purchaser, it's kind of your responsibility
to look into it.
I think so.
But if it's not on the menu,
yeah, I guess.
Like if my research is me going in and looking at the menu.
Yeah, and it doesn't say vegetarian or like meat substitute. I don't know. Maybe you got to put them on blast. It's the only way they're going to
I don't know the name of the restaurant.
Oh, well,
I'm sorry. I just heard about it and I was like,
you're a bad critic.
That's interesting. I've never eaten there either, so I don't know.
What's your movie or show?
There's Chud, which is from the 80s.
Classic.
Yeah, very classic. I actually didn't watch it until after, because it's one of the movies that inspired Us. So by Jordan Peele. So like after seeing that, and I was like, I need to know more and more. So then I went and watched Chud, and it's very good. People are going missing in New York. And something living below is eating them. Okay. Yeah.
What else do I have? I think all of my shows are newer-ish. I have Yellow Jackets, which is on Showtime /
I still need to watch that because apparently Elijah Wood's in it.
He is, and he's really great in it. You would love it.
No duh, it's Elijah Wood.
Right, that's all you need is Elijah Wood. So essentially, this is talking about it's based in 1996, and it's talking about a girls' soccer team who's traveling to Seattle for a tournament. Their plane goes down somewhere in Canada, like in the remote woodsy forest area in the mountains. The season, I don't think it's like quite winter yet. I watched it. I started it a long time ago. They're in season 2. But at some point, it's like super cold and snowy and wintry, and they're forced to survive. They don't have any food. They don't have anything. And desperate times call for desperate measures, and eventually they start eating each other. And lots of other things happen that are crazy and wild. But the cool thing about the show is it's part flashback, part current. So it's this group of people that has reconvened in their current age, and then you're hearing the story of like when they were kids and what they went through. So
they're like reminiscing about.
It's fun and wild. Yeah. Christina Ricci's in it. She's great. There's a ton of Juliette Lewis is in it. Tons of great people. Tons of great actors. I just finished season. I was late to this game because it came out quite a few years ago.
Yeah, I feel like it's been around for a bit.
Yeah, and I just finished season 2.
I mean, you're quicker than me. I'm still way behind.
Gotta get on it. It's on Showtime / Paramount Plus where you can stream it.
Cool.
You got anything else? I have one more.
No? Fresh we've talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Man we talked about. We brought up Silence of the Lambs, so.
Santa Clarita Diet.
Cannibal the Musical?
No, I haven't seen that. Sounds fun, though.
It's really fun.
Like it's an actual... Is that the one where you have to wear the rain jackets because they throw blood at you?
No, it's a movie. It's by the creators of South Park.
Oh.
It's very good.
Okay, I would like that. Cannibal the Musical.
Cannibal the Musical.
Santa Clarita Diet. Did you ever watch that? With Drew Barrymore and Timothy
I
Olyphant?
wanted to. That's one of the ones that I'm like, what should I watch? And I'm like, maybe I should start this, but then I never actually do.
It's on Netflix. There's a couple seasons of it. It got canceled, which is such a bummer. I think there's like 3 or 4 seasons of it, and everyone was really excited, and then Netflix was like, I don't know, there's like some weird metrics that they use to rate whether they should make another one. They're like, nope. They canceled it, and it's essentially these man and woman, they have a kid, but they're realtors in Santa Clarita, which is I was like, where?
Check your notes. Make sure you...
Santa Clarita. And she starts eating people.
But doesn't something happen to her or something?
It's not like...
It's not like one day she wakes up and she's like, it's like the people that wake up one day and they're like, you know what, I just want to eat nail polish. And then like the rest of their lives, they're like something just downing things in nail polish.
And throughout the seasons, you're figuring out what it is that happened. I just spit on myself. You're figuring out what happened to her and why she's eating people. But it's so funny.
Okay.
It's so funny. It's a great show. Highly recommend. It came out in 2017, so it's a little bit older, but it's real good. Okay, that's it for my shows. My list was so long, and I'm like, you people are going to think I'm crazy. I'm like, I'll tell you everything, all the shows and movies about eating people.
This episode is just a list of cannibal movies and shows. Because there's a lot.
When you Google it, there's so many. I'm like, what is wrong with our society?
Because I think it's just one of those things that's been around cannibalism has been around for so long that it's something that people are afraid of, so people make movies of it.
Yeah.
And it's stories and stuff.
Cannibalism is still very much alive and happening in other places in the world. There's tribes that perform ritualistic cannibalism ceremonies or whatever you would want to call it. It's definitely not as prominent as it was thousands and thousands of years ago. And there's also other extreme situations where people resort to cannibalism because the story of the team in Yellow Jackets is based on a true story. So that actually happened to, I don't think they were soccer players. I think it was but it was based on a true story. So things like that have happened. Would not recommend, but I mean, I guess if you're trying to survive and you do what you got to do, and it's not like they were killing people to eat them. They were eating the people that had died.
Party style, where
exactly.
They died and they're like, well, they're just laying there
and
not doing
we're going to die if we don't eat. So, I mean, I wouldn't want to do it, but you know, if you're in a situation where maybe it's either that or you die,
I wouldn't be able to like cut them up and stuff. I'd be like, someone else do it, and then I'll blindly eat it. Okay.
Okay. So obviously, I think we've come this far. We know what cannibalism is. It is a certain species eating its kind. So there was a debate on the internet because people are like, well, you know, there's so many zombie movies and that's cannibalism. And they're like, well, technically no, because zombies are undead and we're very much alive. So by definition, it wouldn't really be cannibalism, even though at one point we are the same species. But once you turn, you're no longer...
You're different.
You're different.
You've changed.
So a zombie is not a cannibal, in case you came here to learn that.
There's going to be so many comments that are like against that. I have a feeling.
Come at me, bro. You're wrong.
Slide into her DMs and tell her how she's wrong.
No, please don't. Just comment in the comments below. But you're wrong though, because you're not. Once you're undead, you're not human anymore. So that's not the same species. So says Wikipedia. There's also sexual cannibalism, which, to throw that in there, this is typically not performed by human beings. It's performed by insects and spiders. And like a black widow, she will mate with the male and she gets what she needs and she's like, that's it for you.
Bye.
And then she eats them. Because there's no fun in just killing them. You just got to eat them.
Yeah.
So, but that, I mean, maybe it has happened with human beings, but I'm not aware of it. So, just bugs, usually. And then I have a list of really just wild stories about people eating people.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let you go first.
Okay.
Because yours is a doozy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this one, so recently, I think I said it in another episode, but I recently went to New Orleans for the first time, and it was absolutely amazing. We did a bunch of different ghost tours and like voodoo tours and like different,
all the spooky
like,
things.
you know, all the spooky, every spooky thing that I could do. I went to the cemeteries. I did it all.
You went to the pharmacy museum, right?
Yeah, the pharmacy museum, which was really cool.
I got poison ivy there. Or poison. I sat, did you see the well in the back?
Yeah, in the back.
I sat on the well.
Oh, I didn't sit down. I looked in and I saw somebody, because people throw coins in there and someone threw a lighter and I'm like, geez, I wonder how many wishes they got for that.
Just as long as you don't sit on it. Okay. And I can't 100% say that's where I got it, but I feel like 95%
that's
sure.
the only place you sat that could have.
Yes, I was wearing and it was overgrown.
It is
there
pretty
in November. It was early December. It was right after Thanksgiving. And I was wearing a skirt, so my legs were exposed. And let me tell you, I've never had poison ivy or poison oak or whatever poison plant it was. I wanted to rip my flesh off.
And then eat it.
Not eat it.
Oh.
Maybe someone else, if they wanted to eat it, that's cool with me. If you want that poison ivy skin, it's all for you. But
seasoning. It
was awful. So make sure you don't sit on the well. No, I'm not giving that pharmacy museum bad press because it's a really awesome place. Just don't put your butt on poisonous
well.
plants.
Just don't sit on anything with exposed skin.
Sorry, that's
my number one rule.
Yeah. Full body condom at all times.
At all times. So one of the places that we went was Bloody Mary's Tours Haunted Museum and Voodoo Shop. We did a seance. Like, it was one of those things. It was a seance and a ghost tour. Or like a ghost hunt type thing. The seance thing happened, and then she was like, okay, now everyone get, instruments. They had dowsing rods, like EMF meters, like, the classic
ghost hunting tools,
like beginner kind of ghost hunting tools that you can give out to people. And then she's like, okay, we're going to go upstairs. I'm not going to tell you about the space. Just go up there and see what you feel and which I get it.
That's commendable though, because most people are gonna I'm gonna
tell you every little thing because that's the thing. Like when you go into a space, sometimes like if you tell people like, oh, a little girl died here, whatever, you're gonna go up, like people who are I don't know, susceptible to it and like a little more imaginative than others in the group will be like, oh my God, I saw a little girl and oh, I heard a little girl or whatever. Because you're planting seeds that will then make you see things or hear things or whatever, or think you do. So she was like, okay, we're going to go up there and just see what you feel. The seance took a little bit longer, so we didn't have as much time up in the upstairs space. And
it's just a house, right?
It's like an apartment.
Okay.
It's very small. There's like one, so you go up these stairs. There's one room that's like their like living room, and then there was another little room attached to it, was probably a bedroom. Then they had a kitchen that was kind of like an L shaped, and at the end of the L there was a very small bathroom. So it's a very tiny space. So we're up there, and there's some very imaginative people in the group who are super into it in the way that they had their dowsing rods, and any little movement and they made, oh, there's a ghost over here.
Like, ghost,
something's happening over here. And oh my God, there's a ghost up in this spot. And it was a lot. And like, I'm sure they were having fun, and
they're
definitely having fun, but like
they're getting what they felt like they needed to get out of it. But you're like,
and I'm just like,
I smell bullshit.
But then that kind of took me out of it, because like, I'm not being like, ooh, I'm a professional, but like, I used to be on a ghost hunting group, like in a ghost hunting group where like we actually like went and like investigated like different spaces and stuff. So I'm like,
it makes it hard to take.
It makes it hard to like seriously. Kind of like take it seriously when the person's literally standing in front of the AC unit going, oh, there's a ghost right here, as the wind is making their dowsing rods go nuts. So I'm kind of walking in the space, and also she kept telling people, oh, this room, like the bedroom, it had a bunch of dolls and stuff in it. So she's like, oh yeah, that's a very hot spot, like everyone go into there. So I was like, should I stay in here longer? And the kitchen had a stove and a fridge and a sink at the end, and then I went in there for a little bit, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Like, you weren't feeling anything.
Yeah, I didn't feel anything, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on. And also, like, the other people were kind of taking me out of it. So then we went downstairs, and then, because she had, like, cameras set up everywhere, so, like, we played back, like, you know,
your footage to see
everyone up there
up.
just to see if anything was happening. Nothing happened. But the story she told of what happened in that apartment is wild. It's absolutely wild. It's one of the ones that, like, I feel like I heard about, but I never really, like, looked into it. But then now, after being in the space, like, I was Googling it, like I was looking.
You're like, I wish I would have known this before.
I almost, I know if I went up there, I knew what happened in the space, I wouldn't have been like, ooh, I can feel this thing and I can feel this. Like, I don't know. I feel like my brain knows better, but I think it would have been nice to know.
Yeah, you would have had some like just backup in your mind to be like, oh, there's more than what she said.
Yep. So this the story is called The Katrina Cannibal of New Orleans.
Ooh.
So this is the story of Zach Bowen, Addie Hall. They lived in the French Quarter. They met a little bit before Katrina, because this is kind of like when everything kind of went down, or a little bit after. So they both met. They were working at the same bar. They fell head over heels for each other. Zach, he had been previously married. He had 2 kids with that person, was paying child support to them. He loved to party. She also loved to party, so they had that in common. They loved to go out and drink and have fun. She was a free spirit. She was very creative. She loved doing arts, and she danced, and she seemed absolutely adorable. So on October 17th, 2006, the New Orleans police get a call that someone had jumped from the Omni Royal Orleans Hotel at 8:30 p.m. And so they go up there, and they're like, oh, it's just a suicide. Like, obviously it's sad, but like, okay, that's it. But then they search his pockets, and they find a note that says, this is not accidental. I had to take my own life to pay for the one I took. If you send a patrol car to 826 North Rampart, you will find the dismembered corpse of my girlfriend Addie in the oven, on the stove, and in the fridge, and a full signed confession from myself. So he had this note. He had his dog tags, because he's a war vet, and he the key to the apartment. And basically, like, the note said, like, you know, you can go in there and search.
Yeah.
So,
yikes.
Yeah, and you're like, so this is like, what the heck is happening? So New
Orleans is a wild place.
It's
but
wild,
that's not
but
what you think's going to happen
extra
there.
wild.
Yeah.
So they go to the apartment. They go in. spray painted on the wall is I'm a total failure. Look in the oven. On the front of the oven, he spray painted "Don't look." And sure enough, there was 2 pots on the top of the stove that had, I think, her hands and her feet and her head. And then her limbs, like her legs and stuff, were on a sheet in the oven. And then her torso was in the fridge.
Jesus Christ.
So, and you're like, what the heck is happening?
Was he gonna eat her and then was like, I can't eat her. I need to go kill myself.
So the name Katrina Cannibal is a little misleading. I think it's more rumors because, like, you hear that that's what he did to her, and people are like, "Oh,
she was in the oven and
he was probably going to eat her and stuff." But they think there was no evidence that he ate her. They were thinking more that he was trying to get rid of,
like, cook it,
like, dispose of the body,
right? So
you cook it down, possibly. But he also was 100% not in his right mind. So they were found on October 17th. They also found a bunch of journals. So he was literally just writing the entire time, like saying what was going on. But you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt because you don't 100, like, you're getting the story from one side. So you don't know the full story because who knows if he's telling the truth in these things.
Right.
But
and if he's not in like the proper mental state, that could have been not exactly the truth.
Yeah. So the killing actually happened on October 5th. So from October 5th to October 17th, she was dead. And he was kind of living his life. This was actually, so the killing happened, after Katrina and after, like, New Orleans kind of started getting back,
like, rebuilding
and, like, everyone was going back to, like, real life again. During Katrina, the 2 of them decided not to evacuate. So obviously a lot of people did evacuate, but then there's also the people who are like, I don't want to leave my home.
Yeah.
I want to stay here. So them and a small group of other people in the area stayed behind, and the French Quarter actually wasn't hit very bad. So they didn't have electricity or running water or things like that. But them and the other people, they kind of created, like, this community, and they were, like, burning trash in the street and cooking food, and, like, it's like almost like this kind of, like, almost like camping. Like, they loved it because they're, like, these free spirits, and they're like they're in this little community where they're living their life. Apparently, like, one of the things that people would say that during this time, Addie, because the police would, like, patrol the area, she would flash them, like, as they went by. Like, she was just like a fun party girl.
She's having a good time. So wait, why did he kill her though?
So Katrina happens. They have this community. They're actually loving this lifestyle of just kind of do whenever they want. They don't have to work their 2 jobs to pay rent, child support, all this stuff. Like, adulting, they weren't about it. So once the city started coming back together and people were going back to real life, it was time for them to go back to real life, and they didn't really want to do that. So I think the pressures of adulting were getting to them, and it kind of made soured the relationship a little bit. So they were fighting.
Like the stresses of real life, having to go back to real life.
Yeah. So they were fighting. Addie's friend said that, like, she had come from abusive relationships before, and she would kind of get fiery towards him, and they would, like, get into these fights. So she actually was they ended it. She's like, no, come back. Let's do a fresh start. And then they came back and it wasn't any better. And she's like, okay, this is obviously not happening. So she went to the landlord and was like, I'm going to take you. I want him off the lease. But I guess the landlord was like, no, rethink it, all this stuff. But obviously Zach wasn't too happy that she was going to take him off the lease, even though he paid for part of, the rent and stuff like that. So no one really knows what happened.
How she died.
They think that they got into an argument and he strangled her. He wrote in the diary, today is Monday, October 5th. Oh, wait, no, October 16th, 2 a.m. I killed her at 1 a.m. Thursday, the 5th of October. I very calmly strangled her. It was very quick. But yeah, the next day, people now looking back, they're like, the next day he went to work and he lived his life like normal.
They just were, like, didn't probably think anything of it.
People were asking, they're like, between that time, they're like, they would see him and be like, where is she? And he'd be like, oh, she went back up to North Carolina because that's where she was from. And oh yeah, we got in a fight and she left. And people are like, okay, because I guess, you know, I guess it was kind of believable that she could do that.
But it's like, what?
Yeah.
It's such a,
it's so sad.
It sucks. I mean, not that they could have done anything, the damage is already done, but still to just be like, okay, she's gone. And I guess if you don't have enough people that are poking at it to be like, no, where is she?
Yeah. If you're already that kind of person that is believable that maybe you would like leave, I guess like your friends might not like look into it. But like if all of a sudden you stopped messaging me and I never saw you at things, I'd be like, okay, that's way out of character.
Yeah, so vice versa, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to your house. I'm going to figure it out. Where are you? That's not in your character, you know?
You're in my fridge.
And in various boiling pots on the stove.
Yeah. So between October 5th and October 17th, he dismembered her body in the tub. He got rid of them by putting them in the pots and pans. Also, close to the days before he ended up killing himself, he would I think he like took all of his money and he was just spending it. He was going out and he was partying. He was seeing sex workers. He was going to strip clubs.
He's like,
he was doing all the drugs, drinking a lot, doing whatever he wanted, living his best life. And then on that night, he went to the roof of he went to the bar first, opened up a tab, got super drunk, and then jumped off the roof. Yes. So
it's crazy in those stories because there's so many pieces that's so tragic, and there's so many things that would have had to lead to that happening. You know, you think how many days after she died? I mean, that's like 2 weeks almost, right? Mm-hmm. Of him living in a apartment that he lived with her. Yeah, that he was still living with her, but she was in pieces. Yeah, in various parts of the kitchen, and just like the mental state that you would have to be in to be going out to be able to do anything and function like a normal human being, knowing when you come home, your ex-girlfriend or your girlfriend is just really
that you just killed and
you
her body
her
parts
up.
are in there. And and still living in that space where
and that's got to smell. That's like,
oh, I couldn't even imagine.
Like how 2 weeks a body, I mean, I guess if you're cooking
even if you're cooking it, it wouldn't smell good.
Right. Yeah, like if you're boiling anything, we talked about taxidermy and boiling to like boil off the skin on a bird, and it was smell. I mean, I couldn't imagine that people living in, if it was an apartment and there was other tenants living close by, that you wouldn't be able to smell that.
There's not really anybody nearby. There was a shop underneath. So the building is interesting because it's like a shop and then there's 2 apartments on the top. So I don't know.
There wasn't a lot of people around.
There wasn't a lot of people around.
And if those people had left or were gone or anything, he would have totally gotten away with it. Well, he did get away with it. Yeah.
It wasn't until he kind of outed himself. A thing that is even crazier about this story, the stove and the fridge that all this happened in are still in that apartment.
The same ones?
The same exact ones. Apparently they just cleaned them. And I was trying to look it up. The lady who was telling us this story when we were there, I think it's Bloody Mary herself, she was saying that people had lived there and people would be like, wait, that's where you're living? Do you know what happened in that? Do you know what happened on that oven that you're...
Are they not... they're not required to disclose?
I don't think they're required to tell people.
And it's also different, too, if you're not purchasing the property. If you're leasing or renting, I don't know what the law is about that. But that I'd have been like, nope, I'm getting a new one.
Can you imagine, like, you're cooking a big nice meal on your oven and then you find out that somebody, like, dismembered...
You're, like, putting the Thanksgiving turkey in the oven. Yeah, and you're like, oh, that's where the limbs were there. Or the torso?
Her limbs. But
gross.
This story is absolutely insane. There's a lot more details. Like there's more of his journal writings and stuff online. So
that would be interesting to just read what he was writing
and like what was kind of going through his mind at the moment. Yeah, is just crazy. But yikes. You can also so they do like ghost hunts and stuff in there.
I'm so shocked. I get that you wouldn't want to tell that story because maybe people would be super influenced by it. But I think, I feel like that is the ticket right there. If you want to sell tours and you want people to come to do your stuff, like you lead with that story, people are going to show up. I have
a feeling people know. I think I might have not known.
Yeah. Or maybe people, you're saying like most people are familiar with that apartment or whatever. Maybe.
Like, I think some people do know, because when we were done, I think somebody else in the group who I didn't know was like, oh yeah, I knew that happened. My friend Amber, who we went with, she was like, oh my God, I knew that story, but I didn't realize it was there.
This place that we were in.
That we were just in. And yeah, so they have the stove, the fridge. They have, when I was there, they had like a ton of like offerings and stuff on the oven and in the fridge and stuff.
So for people that know, that come to.
Yeah. And kind of like pay respect at least a little bit.
People are crazy, man.
Yeah.
If you learn nothing from this show and all the stuff that we talk about, take away that people are crazy and you just never know.
You can't trust them.
Can't trust no one. Well, continuing on the cannibalism train. So I have a list of a couple people. We may not be able to get through all of them. These are more, I would say, lighthearted. Is lighthearted cannibalism a thing? It's like not going in with like malicious intent. It's not
like bones and all.
Yeah, like it's just that artsy cannibalism. You know, it makes you feel like you're like, okay, I'm okay with this. So my first story, his name is Armin Muse, whatever.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Sorry.
It's fine. So he was born in Germany. He was a computer technician. And he led a very lonely childhood. His father was very strict and just kind of disinterested with his son. So his father abandoned the family when he was only 8. And I mean, the kid just had a hard childhood, you know. So not that a hard childhood excuses cannibalism. That's not what we're saying.
No,
but there's a lot of things leading up to him being the way he was or is. I believe he's still alive. So in 2000, he posted a message saying, I am looking for a young, well-built man aged 18 to 30 to slaughter. End quote. I don't know
why that age range.
I don't know. I guess if you're going to, I don't know, he's just specific. He knows what he wants.
Okay,
the man knows what he wants.
Okay.
So he had several men that responded. One man responded and was
several people responded.
I don't know where this was posted. This article didn't say, and I looked at another one. Didn't say
Craigslist?
Specifically. It was in 2000.
This reeks of Craigslist.
Was Craigslist around 2000?
Yeah.
Okay, so probably Craigslist. We don't know for sure, but somewhere on the internet.
Angie's List.
Do you need a handyman? Do you need me to?
Do you need someone
a carpenter,
to slaughter?
Or would you like someone to slaughter? You never know.
Yeah.
The internet is also a wild place. So his first victim comes over, is willing to be slaughtered, and then last minute was like, gets nervous, never mind, and so he lets him go. So
okay,
he's not like, I want to murder someone. He's like, I want someone to want.
He wants consent.
Yeah, I want you to want to be slaughtered. You know.
Okay.
I guess it makes it. He feels better about it. I don't know. So then the guy basically said, I don't feel good, and then he left. So he was probably like, never mind.
Well, he got cold feet.
He got cold feet.
Just responding to the thing. I feel like
or maybe he didn't think it was what it was. Maybe like slaughtered, he thought it was something
like
else.
Like cool slang at the time.
Yeah, and
it meant there. Like we're going to hang out and it's like Netflix and chill.
Yeah. So he's like, cool, maybe we're just Netflix and chilling. And then he shows up and everything's covered in plastic and there's knives.
It's like
whatever.
Dexter style.
Yeah, and
he's like, oh,
I don't feel
you
so
actually
good.
want to kill me.
Yeah. So he let him go. So the final man to reply to his internet message. So maybe it's like AOL chat. I don't know. AIM.
Yeah.
So his name was Bernard Jurgen Brandes.
Okay, nailed it.
Got it. It's probably not right at all. So he was 43 old. He was a 43-year-old bisexual engineer who wrote to Armin on February 14th, 2001, saying he would agree to be eaten. So he was like, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. They exchanged various emails discussing the best way that he should be eaten and his body used afterwards. He even suggested that his skull could be used as an ashtray.
So he's okay. So he fully understands.
He's very aware.
He's not going over thinking it's something else. He 100%
knows what slaughtered means.
Knows what slaughtered means because he's like, get creative. You know,
use all my
you
parts.
Can use like my leg for a.
I was like, I have a skull dish somewhere, but like an ash. I mean, that's whatever. He knew. He was in.
Christmas story. Don't have.
Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas
A
story
leg
lamp, but leg lamp, but with a real leg.
But gross. That would be stinky
That's like
leg
Ed
lamp.
Gein stuff.
Ugh. Okay, so anyways, he's in. Yes, we're doing it. So he goes over. They did some sexy business, I believe, before this. So
okay.
he was in for the whole shebang.
Okay.
Then they had
Slaughter and chill.
Slaughter and chill. He had some sleeping pills, numerous sleeping pills, a bottle of Vicks cough medicine, and some schnapps before Armin amputated his ding dong. Chopped it right off. And they planned on eating it together. So
cute.
Right?
What a great start to a relationship.
It's a very short relationship, but he's like, it's going to be short. You're going to get the bang for your buck.
The relationship is shorter.
Oh, I don't know if his dick was short. I'm saying the relationship was short because he came over and he knew he was going to die.
Was there 2 servings there?
Well, there was. Okay. So they tried to eat the penis raw. They're sharing it, but they said apparently it was too chewy, which I feel like that tracks. So then he says he's going to fry it up with a little garlic and pepper, but then he burnt it. Meaning, I don't know. I mean, I hope that all of these details...
Was he not following the recipe? Like, how hard is it?
I don't know. Maybe he doesn't cook. So he said he burnt it.
You should have used an air fryer.
In 2001, I don't know if that was a thing.
Probably
or
not.
They're probably really expensive. But that would have been a crispy dick. And probably... I mean,
no, you do roast.
Oh, sorry.
God.
Okay. So he burns it, and they ate it. They didn't eat it because it was.
What, but
I don't know.
Wouldn't you still eat it when it's burnt?
I mean, I feel like you've come this far.
If I try in my air fryer, if I try to make like broccoli and like Brussels sprouts, I'll sometimes burn it and I'll still eat it.
Yeah, maybe it was burnt. He's just said
it's just amazing that in his mind, eating someone's penis is 100% he's on board for,
but not
burnt dick. No way.
So it says neither of them were able to consume the dismembered body. Also, the guy just got his dick chopped off, so he's losing a lot of blood. Like,
so they didn't sew him back up.
No, he's gonna slaughter him. He's not worried about like.
Oh, I thought we were stopping at the dick.
No, slaughtered means like.
I know what slaughtered means, but I thought maybe they like had their moment and they're like, oh no, we love each other.
Yeah,
let's just cut the dick off.
But then they didn't even get to eat it. So, wow. It says, so he's laying there bleeding to death in the bath for the next 3 hours while Armin reads a Star Trek book. Because, when it's just not going right and you're like, oops, I cut the dick off. I can't even cook it. It's what a waste. Let's just read some Star Trek. Maybe he's like, I'm going to try to make you feel better. I'm going to read you this book.
Story time.
And the guy was still alive 10 hours later. 10 hours
Just slaughter
later.
Me.
So then he stabs him several times in the neck to put an end to his pain and his life. So he said, he later explained that my friend enjoyed dying, death. I only waited horrified for the end after doing the deed. It took so terribly long. His lifeless body on a meat hook hung there, and he proceeded to cut the flesh into sizable chunks and grind the bones into flour. He dismembered the entire body so that he could store the parts in his freezer, which he proceeded to eat over the following 10 months. Yeah. So, the entire process of the penis amputation and the subsequent death had been recorded on videotape by the pair and would later be used as evidence against Armin. In 2004, he was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 8.5 years in prison.
That's it?
Yeah. In 2006, there was a retrial for the crime and resulted in the initial sentence being changed to life imprisonment. When I first read this, I was like, he ate a man and he only serving 8 years, but they were like, it's, again, cannibalism, or I don't know if we've said this before, cannibalism is actually not illegal.
Yeah, so which is surprising.
It's not illegal to eat your own species. The problem is to get the meat of your own species, there's some...
That's when you're breaking laws.
Right. Depending. If a person dies naturally and you eat them, there's still laws that you're breaking, but it's not...
Desecration of a body.
Right. But like cannibalism itself is not illegal. So... if that guy came over and they just chopped off his wang and they ate it and he lived, there would be nothing wrong with that.
It would have just been a Thursday night.
Right. As long as the dickless man didn't, press charges at any point. If he was like, cool, I signed the waiver,
this
it's
was
fine.
And that's another thing. Is he signing paperwork and stuff to be like, I give consent?
I don't know. I feel like he was a computer tech. I feel like he was a smart man, but I don't know that we went that far. So, yeah. So he goes to prison because he killed a man, not because he ate
Not
the man.
because, not the eating.
Not the eating.
It's the killing.
It's the killing.
Okay.
So, yeah. Gross.
Yeah. And I'm good.
But like what you wake up, you just said this earlier, you like wake up one morning and you're like, today's the day.
Today's the day.
I'm putting the ad out. I just want to eat a person.
Or
Or
even,
a specific 18 to 30-year-old
Me, I'm
well-built
like-
man.
on the internet doing my stuff, and I'm like, oh, here's an ad? You want to slaughter me? This sounds great. See, who does that?
I don't know. I don't.
I guess you do on Thursday nights.
Yeah, Thursday. It's a
only
good Thursday night.
Thursday.
I don't know. This is crazy, but crazier things have happened. It's just
Yeah.
when they tell the story, and I guess like the video evidence of it, it was just very calm, you know, because it was two people that knew exactly what they were getting into, and both agreed that yes, they want to do this. I don't know what the guy's mental state, the guy that responded to the ad, if he would like, I don't know any information about him. But just a wild story. And also, so this guy is gone for 10 months because he kills him and then he's missing for 10, or maybe he's not missing. Maybe nobody knows that he's gone.
Yeah.
And then, then he gets caught and he goes to prison forever. I'm like, was it really worth it? Was it worth it? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if anyone's ever asked him.
We'll write him a letter.
In prison?
In prison. There's this show I love called IT Crowd, and there's an episode where it's similar to that, where he answers an ad, but he thinks that he's going there for cooking lessons, and then he realizes, no, you want to cook me. But he has the guy who wants to cook him or cook someone, he has a very big TV, and so somebody else then is like, well, I'm going to pretend to want to be eaten so I can go over and use his TV, and it's very funny and it's very fun.
There's also part of the story I missed earlier. So it says that the dad said that the little boy, which is Armin, when he was little, he was obsessed of the story of Hansel and Gretel. Oh. And like Hansel getting cooked and to be
So he wanted to be the witch.
Yeah. Plot twist.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's really a plot twist. That's like really accurate in the storyline. So I have a couple other ones. There's one guy who basically gets, what do you call it when your finger goes black?
Gangrene?
No. When it's frostbite, when it's frozen.
Wait, what's gangrene?
Gangrene, your finger, it may go black, but I don't think it's the same thing. So he gets frostbite. He goes to the doctor's office. They have to chop off his finger. And then he asks the doctor, can I keep it? And I know we had talked before, and it's like when usually that happens with the doctor's office and a part has to get taken off, unless it's like your wisdom teeth, they usually don't give it to you.
Yeah, it's a
like
lot of paperwork
biohazard
and stuff that you have to go through to get these things.
His name was David Playpens. So
he invented the playpen. Right.
Sounds about right. Oh no, he hurt his finger in a motorbike accident. So this wasn't the one where it was frozen.
Motorbike? What year is it?
I don't know. It doesn't say the year. So he takes it home, and he wanted to just try it. And it's like, it's not like a thing that he wanted to do again. He just wanted to know. So he didn't want to put anything on it. And he just want like no no pepper, no garlic, no nothing. He just wanted to try what his finger
But it's
tasted
gross, though. That's like eating meat that's been sitting out.
Right? It's chopped off. It's dead. Don't eat that. He says, despite eating his own flesh, he insists that he's not a cannibal. Sir, have you Wikipedia'd that definition?
Yeah,
you are in
just
fact
because it's not
cannibal.
something that you want to repeat.
You still did it.
You still did it. You still get the title.
You were a cannibal. Maybe you currently are not a cannibal anymore.
You're not a practicing cannibal.
Right. You're a previous cannibal. He says this is a one-time experience, and he documented his experience on Facebook for others to engage with.
Did he describe the taste?
I don't
texture?
know. I'm sure that Facebook post is up there.
Okay.
Search David Playpens on Facebook. I have a couple other ones, but I feel like we went on a tangent earlier about people with toes in alcoholic beverages, and I feel like we owe it to them to just tell them about the opportunity they may or may not decide to partake in.
Which I think once we talk about it, people will want to partake.
I'm opting out.
because it's very appetizing and intriguing.
So whoever decides to partake, you need to make a Facebook group so that we can all
You need
participate
to let us know.
and engage and not have to do it because I don't want to do it.
So Dawson City, where is that? Canada.
Canada.
Always why is this stuff always
I don't
happening
know,
in
you
Canada?
Canadians, I used to have a lot more respect, and now I know they just eat a lot of people.
So apparently at this bar in Canada, there is something called the sourdough cocktail. And you're like, what does that mean? It's just a drink that you can get where they put a dehydrated toe in it. And it looks real gross.
Real human toe.
A real human toe. So, it was so funny because we were talking about this episode, like, cannibalism and stuff before we were going to come and record. And then you were telling me about, the fingers and stuff. And I was like, well, what about the people that drink alcohol that has a toe in it? And you're like, what do you mean? And then we were looking at it and it's even deeper than what I thought because it's not just one toe. So apparently the first toe was from somebody who got frostbite in the 20s.
Oh, maybe that's why I said frostbite. I was thinking I confused the toe and the finger and the gangrene and the frostbite.
Anything. And motorbike.
And the motorbike.
So this guy got his toe amputated in the 20s and like you do, he put it in a jar in alcohol in his cabin. And about 50 years later, somebody was cleaning out the cabin and found this jar with a toe in it. And like you do, you then take that toe back to the bar and you put it in some alcohol and you drink the alcohol.
Well, no one's eating the toe.
No, you're not eating it. It's basically
it's like an ice cube.
Like those metal ones that you put in really fancy whiskey,
like a whiskey
or
stone or something.
Those type of things. Like it's just in it and you drink the alcohol, but you leave the toe behind, or you're supposed to. Because unfortunately, some people don't. And they accidentally swallow the toe. So the first toe is no longer with us.
Can I see that photo? How big is that toe?
It's big.
Because how do you?
It's a big guy.
That's a big toe.
It is the big toe, but it's a big version of a big toe.
Because I could see swallowing the pinky toe.
A pinky toe,
or the little
accident. That's like a little jelly bean. Not too bad. But no, somebody was doing it, chucked it back, accidentally swallowed it.
There's a lot of toes.
There's a lot of toes. Like all of a sudden, I think once word spread, this became kind of like a challenge that people.
I want to get my toe.
I want to go there and I want to
cocktail.
drink the toe thing. It became like this huge thing. So then people wanted to donate their toes. Frostbite victims are sending them their toes. Another person donated their toe. Frostbite. What else? Oh, someone had to get their toe removed from diabetes.
My face the whole time is just stink face.
That's toe number 8. So there's quite a few toes. Somebody sent in a toe. They just mailed it in with a note that said, "Don't wear open toe sandals while mowing the lawn." So that one was a little bit of an accident. So somebody went in, ordered the sourdough shot. This happened in 2013. Pounded it back, swallowed the toe on purpose, paid the $500 fine, and just left.
So that was the thing. They would charge a fine in case.
So if you swallow the toe,
discourage you from
doing it. But apparently $500 isn't enough to stop people, so they upped it to $2,500. In June 2017, the toe was stolen and later returned via mail. So what? They brought it home and they're like, no, I have a better whiskey at home. I want to try it at home and then bring it.
They're like, no, this actually is pretty disgusting. I don't want this. I'm going to
Or maybe it cursed them or how some people take stuff from
curse
spots
of the sourdough cocktail.
That's my headcanon. Yeah. They got cursed and they had to send it back.
That's what you get, stealing somebody's toe.
So you can go to this bar and get the sourdough cocktail.
I feel like this shouldn't be allowed. My logic is okay, when you dehydrate something. So we dug a little deeper because I'm like, I don't understand how this is happening. So they do the salt pack to dehydrate it, but then they're putting it back in a liquid. So they would.
Well, I think what they do. So you come into my bar and you're like, I want this cocktail. So I think what they do, I think they keep it in a jar of salt. So in between drinks, they put it back in the salt because I think when it has the salt on it, I think it adds.
Flavor.
I don't know. I don't drink, so I don't know what flavor.
I mean, you drink the alcohol. There's no need for a toe in it at all. A salty toe, no need.
It's for the people that live on the edge and they want to.
I live on the edge in different ways. I just don't need someone else, a stranger danger toe in my mouth. That's gross. But if you feel the urge, it is called the Sour Toe Cocktail. You can Google it. You can find them. I don't know where the bar is.
The corner of 2nd and Queen, Sourdough Saloon in the Downtown Hotel, Dawson City, Yukon, Canada.
Well, there you go.
My passport is currently being renewed, and the U.S. government has right now, so I can't go. Sorry.
You can't go. Well, and if you do decide to go have the
Send
Sour
us
Toe
pictures.
Cocktail,
Photos, or it didn't happen.
Start a Facebook group chat.
I don't go on Facebook.
Engage.
Do it on Instagram.
Instagram, sure. So that we can all live through you, because
I'm not doing it.
if I go there, I will watch someone else do it.
I'm not doing
no desire. There's lots of things in my life.
Even if they put it in like a cup of Coca-Cola, I would be like, no.
What if they put it in the what's the blue milk thing from Galaxy's Edge that has the Nerds candy in it with the raspberry sauce?
No,
you wouldn't do it?
Ruined it.
Well, I tried. I was like, there's one thing that she'll.
No.
What if I said you get a free lifetime supply of the blue milk? What do they call it? The fancy one?
The Tanu Swirl.
The Tanu Swirl. If you get a lifetime supply, if you just do one shooter with a toe in it.
No, I'd rather pay for it.
For the rest of your life?
Yeah. I want something bigger.
What? What would you drink the Sour Toe Cocktail for?
I really don't know. I really don't know. What would you drink?
Last Coke on Earth, and you could drink
last Coke on Earth with the toe in it.
What happened where it's the people who had the recipes were because they can't fly together.
They ate each other.
They flew together and then it went down.
And
then now they can't make anymore.
They started eating each other, and then their brains don't work properly, so they can't make Coca-Cola anymore. So there's one left. It's icy cold in a glass bottle, just big enough for a toe to fit in there.
Oh no! Don't ruin the Coke with the toe.
And it has to have the toe in it because you don't drink alcohol.
I know, but
you have to drink one Coke with one little toe in it.
I don't want to ruin the last toe. Or the last. I don't want to ruin the last Coke.
So there's nothing you would do it for? No?
Probably not.
I feel like I might do it if there was the last Coke on Earth.
But the thing is, I don't want it in the last Coke. I would drink
you would get
out
another
of the water
one.
and then... Oh, so there is another Coke. See,
Yeah.
you're lying to me.
No. You would do
There's another Coke. There's at least two.
You would do it for the last Coke available on Earth. I mean, I guess you could put it in whatever you wanted. So, okay, I'll take that back. You don't have to have it in Coke to ruin...
What do you put it in? Water?
You could put it in a cherry Coke. You could put it in a
You said there's no more
Sprite.
Cokes on Earth.
Listen, would you do it or would you not do it?
No.
Okay, well, no.
not.
I don't think I would do it either. There's nothing that I need bad enough, so... if you fiends decide to try the Sour Toe Cocktail, please tag us. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
Make sure to tune in on all of our socials. Watch all of our episodes. Listen online as well. And don't forget to
Stay spooky.